Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm excited to have you here today as we dive into a fascinating and often overlooked topic. Today's presentation is titled The Missing Link: Understanding Masculine Containment in Modern Relationships. We'll explore how this concept impacts our connections, the challenges it presents, and why it might just be the key to more stable and emotionally safe relationships. We'll cover what masculine containment really means, why it's so misunderstood, and how applying this understanding can transform the way we relate to each other. So, let's get started and uncover these insights together. This article exists for one purpose: to explain, clearly and unapologetically, what masculine containment really is, why women need it, why men struggle to provide it, and why modern gender beliefs have made this entire topic feel controversial. Whenever I work with couples or speak publicly about the dynamics between men and women, I emphasize one fundamental truth: a woman cannot feel good in a relationship without containment. But the moment this term is mentioned, both men and women often look equally lost. So today, I want to break down what masculine containment actually means, why it's so essential, and why understanding it can transform relationships. Until we can accept that men and women are different, with different needs, instincts, emotional processes, and relational blueprints, we cannot create genuine harmony between them. Containment, specifically, cannot even be understood without acknowledging sexual polarity and the natural roles masculine and feminine energies play in partnership. But sameness is a myth, and it has cost modern relationships dearly. In the pursuit of equality, society made a critical mistake. We began equating equality with sameness. We tried to make men and women identical to justify equal value. Now, it's important to understand that this is simply a biological, psychological, and relational fact. This is not a moral claim, not an argument about value, and certainly not an attack on equality. Before we can even talk about containment, we have to anchor ourselves in a fundamental truth that modern culture has worked hard to erase. Men and women are different. Recognizing these differences is essential if we want to build real understanding and harmony in relationships. There are three major groups of women who appear not to need containment. Not all women openly admit their desire for containment. In fact, many insist they don't want a man's involvement, influence, or leadership. But beneath their words, their behavior tells a different story. Why do women say they don't need containment, yet still behave as if they do? Well, often it's a matter of perception versus reality. They might outwardly reject the idea of needing guidance, but their actions reveal a different truth: that they still seek some form of support or structure, even if they don't want to admit it openly. This disconnect between what they claim and how they behave is key to understanding the overall dynamic of containment and influence. It's an important point because it highlights that words aren't always the full story when it comes to women's true needs and desires in this area. Despite their resistance, these women's behavior still shows clear signs of lacking masculine containment. You might notice emotional instability, reactivity, insecurity, difficulties in romantic partnerships, and an inability to relax into their feminine softness. They often fear losing their freedom, being controlled, being seen as weak, or being swallowed by someone else's power. Many of these women carry trauma related to control, limitations, or male authority. Their resistance isn't a rejection of containment itself, but rather a rejection of what they associate with it. When we look at women who actively resist containment, their self-reliance is really a coping mechanism, not something they prefer. Their behaviors often reveal the truth. They tend to be tense, defensive, overly controlling, anxious, and sometimes even exhibit a feral energy. These women are capable, impressive, and self-sufficient, yet it's not because it feels good. It's more about compensation than genuine contentment. Now, if we consider women who have adapted to a lack of containment, they often appear independent, but that's because their emotional safety net is still provided by family, especially parents. They're not uncontained, they're simply contained by someone other than a partner. And finally, we see women who are actively seeking containment elsewhere. They are in a process of finding safety and stability outside their immediate environment. Understanding these different stages helps us see how women's behaviors reflect their relationship with containment and how it influences their emotional well-being. This is one of the central reasons modern couples struggle today. It's not because women are too strong or too independent. It's because masculine containment is missing, so women are forced to supply it themselves. And when she becomes masculine, polarity collapses. The relationship loses its sexual energy, emotional balance, and the dynamic harmony that makes intimacy feel alive. This isn't her natural state, it's her survival state. She tightens up, becomes rigid, and enters defense mode. Her softness disappears, and she adopts a more masculine stance, not by choice, but out of necessity. When a woman lacks this containment, something predictable happens. The shell doesn't limit the pearl, it protects it. To understand containment, imagine the man as a clamshell and the woman as a pearl inside it. The clamshell provides the necessary structure and containment, allowing the pearl to shine without feeling exposed or vulnerable. Without that clamshell, she feels the need to protect herself by becoming more masculine. That's the core of the polarity problem. When containment is missing, women naturally adapt by stepping into a masculine role, which disrupts the natural dance of attraction and connection. A woman cannot soften unless a man solidifies. It's the opposite of chaos, the opposite of emotional fragility, the opposite of passivity. When a man provides containment, he creates a space where a woman can truly relax. He reassures her with words like, "You can relax here, I've got the space. I've got the direction, I'm not going anywhere." Containment means that a man, through his actions and energy, shows leadership. It's about providing structure, presence, and taking responsibility. It's not passive, it's not weak. It's not about being a good guy in a way that avoids responsibility. Masculine containment is actively creating an environment, psychologically, emotionally, and energetically, where a woman feels safe, grounded, and held. So, in essence, masculine containment is about leading with strength and clarity, so she can feel secure enough to open up and soften. When we talk about masculinity and femininity, it's important to understand that it's a commitment, an active one, to safeguard the feminine. Positive ownership isn't about control or domination. It's about bonded responsibility, knowing that we are deeply connected and responsible for each other's well-being. Women, in particular, want to feel valued, chosen, held, and prioritized in a way that helps their nervous system relax. They don't want to be stray or unclaimed. They thrive when they feel protected and anchored, because that sense of security allows them to flourish. It's about saying, "You are part of my world. Your well-being is directly tied to mine. I cannot hurt you without hurting myself." That's the essence of positive ownership. It's what prevents harm, not causes it. But here's the tricky part. When we hear the word ownership today, many women tense up. They associate it with oppression, limitation, patriarchy, inequality, things that feel restrictive or unfair. And that's where the controversy comes in, because true positive ownership is actually quite the opposite. It's about care and responsibility, not control or oppression. It's about creating a safe space where both partners feel valued and protected. So, when we talk about positive ownership, we need to understand that it's rooted in love, responsibility, and mutual safety, concepts that are vital to fostering genuine connection and trust. Women need containment, and men need to learn how to give it. Until we reclaim this forgotten dynamic, modern love will continue to feel fractured, unstable, and emotionally unsafe. It's not because women are wrong or men are wrong, but because both have been taught a false story about what harmony really requires. For most couples today, especially in our modern context, the answer to whether what we're doing is working is often no. We can play our relationship any way we want, but there's one fundamental question we all need to answer honestly. What is the true foundation of a healthy partnership? The final truth is that men stopped being containment providers, not because they wanted to, but because of the way society has shifted. As a result, women tend to act strong on the outside but feel unsafe inside, becoming hardened emotionally. They've been told that they don't need men, that needing anything is a sign of weakness, and that masculine leadership is oppressive. Society has also taught that independence is the only form of empowerment, that sameness equals equality, that softness is vulnerability, and that receiving is somehow anti-feminist. All these messages have created a disconnect, making modern women less able to understand men and what true partnership requires. So, understanding why this gap exists is crucial, because it helps us see that the solution isn't about blame, but about reclaiming a balanced, healthy dynamic, one where containment and trust are at the core of love.